Hi and welcome to the latest video. So in order for a form's data to be accessed by the location specified in the action attribute, you must give the text field a name attribute and assign it a value to represent the data being submitted. Here's an example of an input element with a name attribute. So input type equals text, where we finished off. So we'll have a name equals name, or name equals whatever you want to call it. So add name attribute with the value of cat photo URL to your text field. So, oh, don't do what I done. So, just after the text, inverted commas with a greater than sign, put this name equals inverted comma cat photo URL. Right, so placeholder text is used to give people a hint about what kind of information to enter into an input. Here's an example of an input element with a placeholder set to xJaneDoe. So input type equals text, placeholder equals whatever you want it to equal. The new equals xJaneDoe. So add the placeholder text to cat photo URL. So the cat photo URL into your input element. So we just put a placeholder, which is the name for it. Oh, equals, what's your spelling? Equals, so placeholder equals inverted comma, add the placeholder text. So cat photo URL. Oh, URL. Make sure it's an uppercase URL. So to prevent a user from submitting your form when required information is missing, you need to add the required attribute to an input element. Here's an example of an input element with the required attribute. So the required attribute is just before the greater than sign. So there's no need to set a value to the required attribute, instead just add the word required to the input element. Make sure there's a space between it and other attributes. So again, in the greater than sign, space, and just write required. So basically the form will be submitted to the required information's in. So say it's an email, a name, whatever they want, it'll no go. So the button element is used to create a clickable button. Add a button element with the text submit below the input element. The default behaviour of clicking a form button without any attributes submits the form to the location specified in the form's action attribute. So we've done the action attribute before. So button, just a button element, and closing button with a backslash. So it's just a button element with the text submit. So SUBMIT, and make sure it's in between the greater than sign, also and the less than sign. And then you'll see a submit button. Well, you should see a submit button. Right, even though you added your button below the text input, they appear next to each other on the page. Like so. Cat photo app, submit. Right. They appear next to each other on the page. That's because both input and button elements are inline elements instead of void elements, which don't appear on new lines. The button you added will submit the form by default, however relying on default behaviour may cause confusion. Add the type attribute with the value submit to the button to make it clear that it's a submit button. So again, just after the N in the button and the greater than sign, space, type equals inverted commas, and telling it it's a submit button. Right, moving on. So you can use the radio buttons for questions where you only want one answer out of multiple options. Here's an example of a radio button with the text cat. So input type equals, it was text before, now it's radio, and then we label it cat. So remember that an input element is a void element. Before the text input, add a radio button with the text as indoor. So before, so again you can either spacebar it lying or type it or tab it. So before the text input, add a radio button. So input type equals, this time it's got to be radio instead of text. No radio, no radio either, radio. And then we label it by doing a greater than sign, a space, and then type indoor with a capital I. If you do it lowercase, you'll know it'll no submit and it'll no pass. Right, we're waiting. Label elements are used to help associate text for an input element with the input element itself, especially for assistive technology like screen readers. Here's an example of a label element with a radio button. So label, closing label, input type radio, and we've called it indoor. So we put a label round about it. So in the example, clicking on the word cat will also select a radio button. So nest your radio button inside a label element. Right, so again, it's a label tag or element, and then after the indoor we put a closing label element, or a label tag, sorry. Right, so the ID attribute is used to identify specific HTML elements. Each ID attribute value must be unique from all other ID values for the entire page. Here's an example of an input element with an ID. So input, so ID equals email. So an ID attribute with the value of indoor to the radio button. Add an ID attribute with the value indoor to the radio button when elements have multiple attributes. The order of the attributes doesn't matter. So well, greater than sign, ID equals, inverted commas, indoor, lowercase, to the radio button. Okay, and the other radio button there. So indoor, right? So create another radio button below the first one, nest inside a label element with outdoor, capital O as the label. Give label text, give the radio button an ID attribute of outdoor as value. So what I'm just going to do is copy and paste that, because that's what I want you to do. Copy, and then Control V. And now what we're going to do is, we've labelled it, now we're going to call it outdoor. So lowercase OUT, oh, don't do what I done, outdoor, still a radio button, but we need to change capital O, UT, outdoor. And then that's straightforward. So notice that both radio buttons can be selected at the same time. So 1, 2. Notice that both radio buttons can be selected at the same time. To make it so, selecting one radio button automatically deselects the other. Both buttons must have a name attribute with the same value. Here's an example of two radio buttons with the same name attribute. So input type equals radio, name equals meal, one for breakfast. Input type equals radio, name equals meal, one label, lunch. So add a name attribute with a value indoor, outdoor to both radio buttons. So just after the radio, name equals Control V, indoor lowercase, outdoor lowercase, and the same again, name equals indoor lowercase, outdoor lowercase, to the both radio buttons. And then you'll see we can deselect them. No, indoor, and then deselect indoor and go to outdoor. As you've seen the first time, it highlighted that and it highlighted that. Now with the name attribute indoor and outdoor, it deselects one of them. Right, if you select indoor radio button and submit form, the form data for the button is based on the name and the value attribute. Since your radio button does not have a value attribute, the form data will include indoor and outdoor equals on, which is not useful when you have multiple buttons. Add a value attribute to both radio buttons for convenience. Set the button's value attribute to the same as the ID attribute. So ID attribute is indoor, and outdoor. So greater than sign, just before it put value. Oh, don't put value there. Put value, control V, sorry, inverted commas. Put value, inverted commas, and the same as the ID. So indoor, lowercase, and again, radio button. No, wait a minute, sorry. No, just before the greater than sign. Value equals outdoor. Oh. Outdoor and indoor. Indoor and outdoor, sorry. Right. Just take your time. The field set element is used to group related inputs and labels together in a web form. Field set elements are block level elements instead of void elements or the other element, meaning they appear in a new line. Nest the indoor and outdoor radio buttons within a field set element, and don't forget to indent the radio buttons. Okay, so field set, and a closing field set. Oh no, 1, 2, and a closing field set. Oh no, closing field set. So, so now we've got a box round about it. So indoor, deselecting indoor and outdoor, and a field set, which is that. Right, now the legend element acts as a caption for the content in the field set element. It gives users context about what they should enter into the part of the form. Add a legend element with "Is your cat indoor or outdoor cat?" ? So copy and paste to is. Sorry, Control C. So highlight, Control C, and then we're going to add a legend. So add a legend element above your radio buttons. Right. So legend, a closing legend, and then Control V, and then we'll see what the legend done. So is your cat outdoor or an indoor or outdoor cat? So the box has got a label now. Is your cat indoor or outdoor cat? ? Right. Next you are going to add some new form input elements. So add another field set element directly below the field set element. So we're going to have another field set element. So field set, what's your spelling? Control field set, and then we're going to have a space in between that, and then we're going to move on to the next bit. So step 55, add a legend element with what's your cat's personality inside your field set. So again, it's just a legend element, or a legend tag, and a closing tag with a backslash, legend, and then just again, so take it for personality, ? And take it to the W, Control C, and put it, the cursor in between the less than and the greater than sign, Control V, and then you'll see what's your cat's personality, and another field set, and a label for what's your cat's personality. So forms commonly use checkboxes for questions that may have more than one answer. The input element with a type attribute set checkboxes creates a checkbox. Under the legend element you just add an input element with the type attribute checkbox and its text set to loving. Right, so input type equals, this time it's a checkbox instead of a radio button basically. So no radio button, no text, it's a checkbox this time. So checkbox, and then you see a checkbox. I was going to say no you won't, but there it's there. So that's your checkbox. So it says loving. So space, L, capital I, capital L, sorry, loving. Right, so that's your checkbox. And it says loving this time. No, it doesn't. Aye, it does. So it says loving, checkbox, and it says loving. Add an ID attribute with the value of loving to the checkbox input. So ID equals loving, lowercase l. Then there's another way to associate an input element's text with the element itself. You can nest the text within a label element and add a for attribute with the same value as the input elements. Right, give an input element as below. So give, input ID equals breakfast, type equals radio, name equals that, value equals that. So add an example of a label element that is associated with the input. So label for equals breakfast, and you put a label around breakfast and then label it breakfast. So you'll see breakfast, but you're linking it with the breakfast with the ID breakfast. So we're linking, associate the text loving with the checkbox by nesting only the text loving in a label. So label. Oh, I'm closing the label. I think that's how you do that, because I got this wrong the last time. Aye, so I got it right again, but that's fine. Sorry, your code, right, your label element does not have a for attribute. Make sure there's a space between the opening label tag and the for attribute. Of course, label for equals that's not an no, right, hold on. Right, so sorry, your code's not getting there. Your code's not pass. You're getting there. Your label element should have a for attribute with the value loving, expected loving, but found loving. Aha, there we go. So just shows you how easy you can make a mistake. Very easy. So submit that. So add the name attribute with the value personality to the checkbox input element. Well, you won't notice this in the browser. Doing this makes it easier for a server to process your web form, especially when there are multiple checkboxes. Add the name attribute with the value of personality to the input. So input. So make sure it's the input, not the label bit. So greater than sign just before after the checkbox. So name equals personality. Right, so the checkbox input element should have a name attribute with the value of personality. I will. You've either admitted or no, spelled it wrong. Easy done. So personality. Oh, it's all personality. I'm doing well. Personality. Hey, don't do what I done. Right, add another checkbox after the one you just added with the ID attribute of lazy, and the name attribute value should be the same as the last checkbox. So add another checkbox. So input, type equals checkbox ID equals lazy, and name equals vertical comma personality. This time I got it spelt right. And then a greater than sign. Right, sorry, your code does not pass. Keep trying. On the right hand side of your new checkbox there should be a label element with the text lazy. On the right hand side of your checkbox there should be a label. Oh, of course, label. Label. Oh, right, hold on. Hold on. Oh. No. Right, so the new label should have a for attribute with the same value as the ID attribute. Oh. Oh no. What's it? Lazy? Well, hey! Right, don't copy what I just done. Just input type equals checkbox, ID equals lazy, name equals personality, and make sure you don't forget the label. So label for equals lazy, and then capital L, sorry, for lazy, and then a closing label. And then you wait. Right. Add a final checkbox after the previous one with an ID. Right, so the same again. So Control C. So just copy and paste, Control V, and then what we're going to do is add a final checkbox. So we've got a checkbox which is there. After the previous one with an ID of value of energetic. So ENERGETIC with a capital lowercase e. The name attribute should be the same as the previous checkbox, which is personality. Also add a label element to the right of the new checkbox with the text energetic. So just copy and paste, Control C, highlight, Control C. Make sure to associate the label element with the new checkbox. So for, and take that out, and Control V. Make sure you change that and all. ENERGETIC. Right, so the new label should have a for attribute with the same label as the ID attribute of the new checkbox. Oh, lowercase e. No. Or is it? Oh, wait a minute. Maybe it's that. Ah! There we go. So don't do what I done and do what I asked you. Okay, thanks very much for watching my latest video. We're nearly finished. So we've got what's your cat's personality, loving, lazy or energetic, and then you submit the photo. Okay, thanks very much for watching my latest video. I appreciate it. Thank you. Bye.